A huge thank you to Jeff Holmes for bringing you today's video via Patreon. Titania versus Galter. A couple of green commanders up against each other here. We do not have the best start there, so could go for Beast Within onto some fast mana that I'm sure Galter will have, but yeah, we want to be ramping really. Alright, and into a one-lander of course. And we're on the play as well, so not much chance of drawing into a land off the top, but we'll try our luck. Alright, no Sol Ring or Birds of Paradise or anything, so yeah, we're getting into a land off the top into Nature's Law. We might actually be able to do something this game, amazingly. Ping our opponent for one with the Allosaurus Shepherd. Sylvan Library on turn 2 for the Galter. We get into a Sylvan Library as well, which is tempting here. I think that's the best play we can make. So this really is a case of trying to outrace our opponent. Elvish Visionary from the mono green player. They've gone down to 34 life. We see a Maze of Ith. So not accelerating their mana that turn. Obviously going to look at extra cards with Sylvan Library. We see a Nature's Claim, which really ought to hurt our opponent. Going to put the full 8 life in here. And then I think we're fine to... yeah, let's accelerate as opposed to the Azusa. We'll go for Topiary Stomper. Gets us a forest into play, and then we'll play and crack the Verdant Catacomb, going down to 31 life, and then go for Nature's Claim onto the Sylvan Library right now. So I think we're quite a ways ahead of our opponent at this point. I thought we'd struggle a lot more against Galter, but there's time yet. They get into a third piece of mana, and there's a Mana Gorger Hydra. That's a really good one. A Return of the Wild Speaker for us, speaking of good ones. And there's some forests on top, so we'll keep one forest and put one on top. And even though we're not going to get a token straight away, I think we're best just dropping a forest and going for the Titania so that we can go for Return of the Wild Speaker next turn. Not the best sequencing, but better than nothing here. Still think we're ahead of our opponent. Get their first plus counter on the Mana Gorger. We'll be able to start swinging in with the Topiary Stomper next turn, but as of right now, can't attack or block with it. Might as well get down the Zuran Orb at this point, which does buff the Mana Gorger Hydra, but it's worth having a sack outlet for the lands, I think. Be worth playing out the Azusa next turn and finally getting this tap land out with Mosswort Bridge. Depends if we can afford both that and the Return of the Wild Speaker, though. E-Witness is going to grab back the Sylvan Library. Not going to be able to play it this turn, unfortunately. Mana Gorger Hydra still only a 4/4, so the Titania holds it back. So at Sylvan Library, going to trigger again. We've got the Awaken the Woods, Bonder's Enclave, and a forest. Yeah, I think we put Awaken the Woods on top. And we're getting low on life now, but multiple lands this turn should be useful. So we'll drop a forest, which triggers our commander for the first time, making a 5/3 elemental. And we can play out the Azusa. We'll play out the Mosswort Bridge so that we can clear some cards off the top. And yeah, seeing absolutely nothing there. Not much point in playing the Awaken the Woods. I mean, we could cast it and put it in the bin, then grab it back and cast it at some point, so I might as well just put the spell under, but whiffing with the Mosswort Bridge, unfortunately. So let's tap a forest for mana, and then sacrifice a forest. And we can play a forest from the bin thanks to our commander, and then we'll cast the Return of the Wild Speaker now. So we'll draw 6 cards here thanks to our commander's 6 power. Alright, and looking pretty good there, a full grip of 7. Got some lands to make. Yeah, plenty of means of landfall there. So we'll pass the turn at that. Actually, I'll offer up the trade with this Mana Gorger Hydra, because it's going to start becoming a problem if we're not careful. Could obviously just go for the Maze of Ith, instead decided to chump with Elvish Visionary. So we got rid of one of their creatures at least. Nope, instead just deciding on the Maze of Ith. So our plan is to go wide with these elemental tokens at this point. It's funny, this is a real mirror match. Mosswort Bridge comes down for our opponent as well. They can't do much worse on it than we did. A Gaia Sage from our opponent now. So noteworthy that they're not getting down the Sylvan Library. Continuing to hold back the Mana Gorger. And alright, there's an overrun effect for us in Garruk Wild Speaker. Rampaging Baloths is decent as well. Don't think we're going to be playing it this turn though, so Yeah, I'll start trying to save a bit of life. We'll put a land and Rampaging Baloths on top. And the first thing we want is the Lotus Cobra. Then it's Garruk Wildspeaker. Untap a couple of lands, just go for a couple of basic forests at this point. And I think it's worth getting down the Crucible of Worlds at this point. Our commander allows us to play forests from the bin, but Crucible of Worlds allows any land to be played, and we do have a fetch there. So play the Verdant Catacomb, which will trigger the Lotus Cobra. Then crack that. Forest enters, making a 5/3 elemental from the commander and a mana from the Lotus Cobra. So we'll do this another 2 times and get another couple of tokens, another couple of mana. Alright, so we end all that with 6 mana available to us. Elvish Reclaimer will be fine here, I think. Alright, so we end all that with 6 mana available to us. I think just playing out the Sakura Tribe Elder is fine. And we might as well just use the mana that we've got available to us, go Roiling Regrowth, sacrifice a forest, and we'll get 2 more forests into play, which generates some more mana and some more tokens. Might as well throw out the Elvish Reclaimer as well. It's noteworthy that we can get a buff on the Elvish Reclaimer, one through its own ability, but also through the Allosaurus Shepherd as well, so that might be relevant during the whole overrun thing next turn. Crack the Sakura Tribe Elder. Don't think we're going to need to block anything. And that is more landfall. Alright, so we've shuffled the cards around and we'll be able to look at a fresh 3 cards on top with Sylvan Library next turn. Yeah, just passing the turn through is fine here. Might be worth sacrificing the Mosswort Bridge to the Zerun Orb, and then we can replay it thanks to Crucible. Might be able to get some card advantage out of this that isn't the Dead Awake in the Woods. Oracle of Moldiah from our opponent. No land on top, unfortunately, a Llanowar Elves. That does evolve the Gaia Sage though. Alright, so it's looking pretty good for us here. We get into a Hunter's Insight, that's really good. Green Sleeves as well. So we'll put Cavern of Souls on top of our library and keep hold of the Green Sleeves. And at this point we're fine to just take down the Garruk, I think, and turn in sideways. So all of our stuff gets +3/+3 and trample. Turn it all in sideways. Doing it during the combat step would help. Our opponent's just taking it here. We'd have to be careful with the Hunter's Insight because they could obviously remove it from combat with Maze of Ith, but doesn't matter anyway. We get them down to -59. And I think that was a fairly one-sided one, so we'll try another game. Up against a Loro this time, starting off the game with a Sylvan Library, and a Sol Ring sounds good, but there's no green mana whatsoever, so we have to mulligan. And that is way slower. But our opponent did ask for a casual game, so I'm hoping that we're on the same page when it comes to what is casual. I will keep that, and I think I'll just get rid of the E-Witness here. Draw into a Commander's Plate. We are obviously on the draw. Our opponent's got down a tap land, so we'll go for the Elvish Reclaimer, probably start sacrificing lands next turn. Seeing a Khan's Bastion now into the Felwar Stone. Our green mana won't be as useful to them as they would like. Now it's Oracle of Moldiah. So just play a land here. I'll likely go for an Ancient Tomb, I would have thought. And that should allow us into Oracle of Moldiah next turn. Okay, our opponent passes through the turn, which is ominous. But maybe our opponent kept a bad hand, didn't drop a land there, so probably stuck on lands. We'll get down the Ancient Tomb and draw into Nissa, who shakes the world. So drop a forest and we'll try and get another land off the top with the Oracle of Moldiah. But looks like they've got a counterspell for us. Instead deciding to let it down, seeing a Rex Sage on top, which I'm sure they don't want to see when they're struggling on mana. Not swing in just in case they've got a flash creature. I think the Elvish Mystic is going to be really useful to us, or Elvish Reclaimer I should say. Now seeing Paradox Haze from our opponent, so they'll gain 4 life during each of their upkeeps. So see what we draw into here, or reveal on the top I should say. A Roiling Regrowth is fine, but I'd rather try and get into a land here I think. So I'll tap down a forest ready to sacrifice. Doing this simply to shuffle, although we'll be able to at some point get the forests out of the bin hopefully. Is our opponent going to scoop to a Gaia's Cradle? That's what I should go for here, but while our opponent's struggling and wants a casual game I won't aim for that at this point. we'll just go after the Castle Garenbrig here, I think. Alright, I'm revealing a Mosswort Bridge on top. Oh, and I've done this during the draw step. That's annoying. Yep, wasting mana here. Well, we'll drop the Mosswort Bridge. There's a Tireless Tracker on top, so there's at least one good card to put underneath this. Barlagad Recovery. There's the Gaia's Cradle. I think we go for the Tireless Tracker there. Chord of Calling for no mana isn't particularly good. Regal Force on top now. So we'll get down the Commander's Plate. Turns out that 1 mana that we wasted was of no relevance. Hit our opponent for 2 with the Oracle. Our opponent's up to 50 life and manages to get into another land. That is Maestros Theatre. Grabbed a tapped Swamp with that. And through to our turn. I'll make sure not to do anything during the draw step at this point. Not revealing lands on top. I never tend to have much luck with Oracle of Muldair, unfortunately. So it's Multani, Yavimai's Avatar on top. So I think we just go for Nissa, who shakes the world here. And if we can start getting forests into play at some point, we'll have double mana on those. So plus onto a forest, which will untap it. And then the forest has vigilance, might as well swing in with that. We'll swing in with the Oracle as well. And we're holding up mana for the Elvish Reclaimer again if we want to. Our opponent's life staying up there though, thanks to Aloro and Paradox Haze. And the fact that we are being incredibly slow, but it's not like our opponent isn't either. A Smothering Tithe. I'm glad that I've held off on the Reclamation Sage. I will definitely use Rec Sage on that Smothering Tithe. So I think I am actually going to get rid of the creature land here and replace it with a Nykthos, because we're getting our Devotion to Green up here. And that obviously shuffles the big creature away, puts a Roiling Regrowth on top. Not doing too well on accelerating our mana. So Smothering Tithe, they will get 1 treasure token from us here. And it's Crucible of Worlds that we reveal. Go for Devotion to Green with the Nykthos, generates us 4 mana. And yeah, gonna have to go for the Rec Sage and blow up the Smothering Tithe with that. Looks like this is Pillow Fort deck, so we'll have to bear that in mind. Yeah, I'll just get down the Elemental Bond ready for our commander. We'll be able to get that down in the next turn or two. And this, not particularly bothered about untapping anything here. We might as well deal damage while we can. We'll untap the Castle Garenbrig, run out of forests to make use of the double mana on. Getting into that Azusa again would be handy. Noteworthy that the Elvish Reclaimer has the +2/+2 buff now. We'll turn everything in sideways against our opponent at this point. Obviously our opponent's at risk of seeing the limit break from Nissa, who shakes the world. We'll be able to very much fix our mana with that. And we're only a couple of turns away from it here. And there is a Spreading Plague. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, destroy all other creatures that share a colour with it. So, yeah, that's really good against mono-coloured decks. Finally seeing a forest on top here. So play a forest off the top. And there is a Sylvan Library, wouldn't mind drawing into that. Problem is, if we play any creatures, we're going to end up wiping our board. So it's probably worth getting down the Great Henge at this point. Untap the forest, turn it into a manland. Make some green mana with Nykthos, which sends us up to 8. That's enough for the Great Henge. And then we can equip something with the Commander's Plate. I don't think it really matters what, we'll just go after the Oracle of Muldair. Alright, so turn everything in sideways again. Deal a decent chunk of life here, but our opponent's still gaining 4 a turn. Managed to knock them down to 30 before they gain the life. Alright, and our opponent scoops on us. I mean, yeah, not sure what to make of that really. They had us on the ropes there with the black enchantment that was keeping us from casting creatures, although we could get the Nissa limit break going there next turn, and we could have had a Sylvan Library in play and all of our forests from the entire deck, which is probably what I would have done. Although maybe waiting another turn would have been the thing, then we could have had Nissa survive and carry on making manlands against our opponent. Yeah, bit of a weird one that, but we'll leave it there. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Big thank you to the patrons for supporting as ever. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.